Did you know that 2021 could be the year that the famous McDonald's dollar menu disappears forever? After a few more years, you'll likely never be able to get a hamburger for $1 ever again. If you don't understand why this is happening, then you need to give me a few minutes to teach you what inflation is, how it's hurting you, and how beginner and expert investors can profit from it. The reason that the price of hamburgers, and almost all other goods, keeps increasing is due to a phenomenon called inflation. According to Investopedia, inflation is the decline in purchasing power of a given currency over time. Declining purchasing power is another way of saying that goods and services are slowly getting more expensive as time goes on. Rising costs caused by inflation are destroying your standard of living, plans for retirement, spending power, and much, much more. The effects of inflation are very slow and subtle. In this way, it's almost like watching a weed grow. It's nearly impossible to see a weed grow in real time, but if you're not careful, it can completely overrun your garden if you don't take care of it. On that same note, the effects of inflation are so subtle that you don't notice them during your day-to-day routine. However, if you're not careful, inflation can completely ruin your financial plans. Inflation mainly occurs when the central bank of a country decides to print more money. Now, more money in the economy might sound like a good thing since people have more money to spend. However, in reality, when everyone has more money, it just means that prices for everyday items like coffee, gas, and groceries will slowly creep up. If you're a United States citizen, then you are already experiencing the effects of inflation. That's because, in response to the economic shutdown, the United States printed about $9 trillion in 2020 and added it to the U.S. money supply. This is 22% of all the U.S. dollars that they have ever printed. Just like putting fertilizer on a weed, this money printing will almost definitely cause rapid inflation over the coming months and years. We don't want you to worry too much, though. Inflation is common in growing economies, and there are several ways that you can beat it. As promised, let's look at 3 strategies that you can use to profit off of inflation. But first, be sure to throw us a like below if you've already learned something valuable. The key to profiting from upcoming inflation is to invest your money. If you aren't familiar, investing is the process of buying assets that will either grow in value or produce income for you. By buying assets that are growing in value, you will protect your savings and escape the depreciating power of inflation. For example, if inflation is about 3% annually over the following years, then you need to invest your money in assets that are growing at over 3% each year in order to outpace inflation. In other words, you need to water and fertilize the plant in your garden so that it is not overrun by a weed. If you're a newbie investor, then the following assets are all good starting places because they are very safe. Again, the main idea is to buy an asset that is growing in value faster than inflation is eating away at your purchasing power. If all goes well, you will buy an asset today for a certain price and sell it in the future for a much higher price. With the following assets, you'll have a low chance of losing money while still keeping yourself protected from inflation. Here are 3 assets that will protect you from inflation. Number 1, TIPS, or Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. These are assets offered by the government that are specifically designed to protect your savings from inflation. Since they are backed by the U.S. government, they are incredibly safe and offer you a return of about 1 to 1.5%. You can buy these directly through the United States Treasury website. Number 2, precious metals. Precious metals like gold, silver, platinum, and palladium are all known for performing well during inflationary times. You can buy these metals by contacting a reputable supplier and buying coins, bars, or bullion. You can also add these precious metals to an individual retirement account. And number 3, stock market index funds. Index funds are assets that track a wide range of stocks instead of just one. For example, you could buy an index fund that tracks the return of all the companies in the Dow Jones, the 30 largest companies in the United States. This is considered much more reliable than just buying 1 or 2 stocks. If you're an intermediate investor, then you are probably comfortable taking on a little more risk in exchange for a higher reward. The previous 3 assets are still good options, but you can also consider buying stock in individual companies that are set to profit off inflation. The companies that usually fare the best during inflationary times are companies that are consumer staples. As prices rise, people will naturally limit their discretionary spending on for-fun expenses like travel and entertainment. However, they still need to purchase things like groceries and utilities. A few of the industries where you can hunt for potentially successful companies are energy, food, healthcare, building materials, and technology. Companies in these industries have a good chance of an average over the coming years. Now, let's take a look at our number one strategy for profiting off of the coming inflation. Before getting to our finale, remember to hit subscribe so that you'll be alerted of new videos to help you grow your net worth over the coming months. Now, the number one strategy to profit off of inflation, if you're a savvy investor, is to buy real estate. Real estate is one of the best inflation-protected assets that you can buy. This is because if you own a building that you are renting to a tenant, you can simply increase the cost of rent to make up for the effects of inflation. If inflation goes up significantly over the span of 5 years, then so does the rent for your tenants. The best part about this is that the debt that you are paying on the building will stay the same, even if you raise the rent. No matter how out of hand inflation gets, you can just keep raising the rent to make sure you are not losing money. As long as you are charging a fair rate for the market, you should have no trouble finding a tenant. Additionally, at the same time that your property is producing income for you, it is also hopefully growing in value, just like a stock does. In a best-case scenario, you could earn income from a rental property every month and then sell it for a profit in a few years. In conclusion, regardless of the investment that you pick, it's always important to keep a long-term view. You shouldn't expect any asset to jump in price overnight and should be prepared at least 6 months before you start to see any gains for your investment. Usually, the longer you wait until you sell, the bigger your reward will be. It's also important to remember that no investments are guaranteed. With investing, there is almost always the risk of losing money involved. However, if you don't invest your money, then you have a 100% chance of slowly losing your purchasing power over time due to inflation. We hope that you found this video valuable in learning a few ways that you could profit off of inflation. We plan to keep you updated on new economic updates and the best places to invest your money in an ever-changing world. If you're interested in learning new investing strategies and tips, please subscribe and hit the notification bell in the corner. That way, you'll be alerted every time that we post a new video. If you found this video valuable, please be sure to follow the very first link in the video description below and subscribe to my newsletter. By subscribing, you'll receive my most valuable tips for investing, any potential stock picks that I come across, and more informative content similar to what you've just watched. Most importantly, I don't believe in sending automated emails or spamming my subscribers. Instead, you can trust that each email that I send will be filled to the brim with valuable information that's sure to make you a better investor. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.